Hello everyone, welcome back to the lab, and also welcome to a new episode of Road to World 2024, where I will be documenting my journey, my grind of myself competing in a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, and eventually, or hopefully, make to the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship of 2024. That being said, let's start today's new episode. So, last time, I guess prior to the previous episode, I was still doing some regional grinding. And you probably noticed I did not post anything during almost the entire May. There were, I guess, say, a decent amount of things happened, but nothing, like, not every week, there just wasn't enough content or not enough results for me to make another new episode. Like, I wasn't satisfied with most of my performance during, like, the entire May. Like, at least the beginning part of it. And then I was definitely going through a lot of trials and errors. So, today, in this episode, I guess we'll just kind of summarize what really happened during the entire May, during the time I kind of stopped posting for a few weeks. So, this is what we left off prior to YCS Indy. This is the list you saw, I guess, in episode 15, where I piloted the Parallel Exceed version of Snake Eyes, and went into Hartford Regional. Did decently well, X11, wasn't like too bad, and then got some wall points, top 8, decent. But then I went into, I think, 2 more remote dual regional after that. Like I mentioned before, I usually have allergy during May in my area every year. So I wasn't really able to go out to any IRL regionals. There just also wasn't any close to me during those weeks. So I decided to just play some remote regionals instead. Let's just say those remote regionals ended very poorly. I was pretty much using the same list as you saw on the screen right now, as I did well at Hartford Regional. But I got sacked pretty horribly. Like, I vaguely remember, like, I played against a lot of Tenpais, and then there's like one specific Tenpai guy threw 10 hand traps at me out of the entire match. Like, it was just 3 hand trap, 4 hand trap. The experience were really not fun, and kind of also defeated not just my deck, but also my confidence with the Snake Eye and then the format. As we saw, this is like a relatively standard approach of Snake Eye, right? Just standard Snake Eyes plus hand traps, and just my addition with some Parallel Exceed, and then the common standard cross out, and then in the side it was like some backups, some cards for special cases, and then some floodgates. A relatively standard one. But my confidence was really shattered during those remote regionals, because I normally when you get sacked, you would say, oh, maybe you're just unlucky that day, right? But for how bad it was, it really made me realize, yeah, there were some problems. Format was definitely changing, and I feel like I was getting behind if I just stay the same. So I kind of started scrambling. I went back to the lab and started building random different things, just trying to see if anything could light up some reactions. So one of the few decks I tested, which I was also using this as like a reference, as a test, like hypothetical opponent, was this Sky Striker variant of Tenpai, since the beginning of Legacy of Destruction format. This was honestly one of my preferred version of Tenpai, because it wasn't, I won't necessarily say it's better. It's just more fun to play when there's no hand traps. So you let your opponent do whatever they want. But on the other hand, all these big spells engages specifically that draws, that searches. You could just play a 20 card deck against everyone, and then when Tenpai resolves on you, you feel very defeated mentally because it feels like everything you do kind of just pointless. That all they do is just normal summon a dragon. Now everything, all your effort have done, are just worthless. It feels very defeating. But however, when you are on the Tenpai side of it, oh, that feels satisfied. It just like you can see the hope fading away in your opponent's eyes. The second you start summoning, you engages, draw cards into more engages than normal summon Tenpai monster. Yeah, they just died. So I definitely had fun with it. So I guess this list has like some really abstract cards that people may not know. So I will go through a little bit more details. There are the standard Tenpai, like the Kaiman, the field spell, the chicken game for more spells. There's this like way weird as well. It's a new super. It's a field spell from Legacy. Pretty much when this card, it's like a pseudo striker field spell. Because during the main phase, the turn player can just activate the effect, activate the top card up to the number of how many cards your opponent controls, and then you add one of the card you activate from the top of the deck, add to hand, then put a card to the bottom. So essentially, it's like a pseudo prosperity in some sort of way against usually because it's a striker Tenpai, I always choose to go second. Again, in those kind of situations when you go second, this card you can usually review like a solid 4 or 5 cards at least, and hitting an engage there or hitting a Tenpai Kaiman, singing Kaiman there is not that hard of a thing. Plus, there's also all the other striker cards. The draw cards Upstart, Desires, Thrust and Talon, and then there's some Thrust Target being Ratkiki and Lightning Storm, and obviously Droplets. Alright, that's just the whole main deck. There are a little bit extra weird striker cards in the main deck. First of all, it's this Ego Booster. This is what I thought my going first game plan. If I'm being offered going first, I can just maybe get some spells in the graveyard, maybe making something like a Meteor Burst in defense with an Ego Booster set. Now in their turn, this is an immune Meteor Burst that'll have a chance to cannot even die by battle. In Tenpai Mirror, this is just guarantee force them to pass turn. And now it's my turn again. I get to OTK people. So this is kind of my Tenpai Mirror strategy, kind of sort of thing, if I'm being offered first. And there's also a copy of Area Zero. 8-0 is not really a common striker cards you see if people play a small portion of striker engine instead of a big striker deck. However, in this one, because the card Ancient Fury existed, so at the beginning I thought, okay, maybe I can just do some cool thing use Tenpai to go through A0, use Ancient Fury, and then get to my summoning, and then do other thing. But then I quickly realized, if I'm already able to make Ancient Fury, I no longer need I no longer need access to more Tenpais, because I need Tenpais to even make Ancient Fury. That's why you don't even see the Ancient Fury Dragon in my extra deck. But the A0 at the end kind of just kept in the deck as another way to fill spells in the graveyard, or just more ways to dig in for engage, because that's fun. I didn't polish this too well, because this is at the very beginning just a hypothetical opponent. It's almost a version 0 that I built up just to see how viable this kind of strategy is, and then see what if we queue into a deck like this, right? And then I would say the addition of striker cards definitely make the Tenpai deck more fun, because the striker cards also generate link bodies. Link body will turn on Hida, heater line into the Princess Raging Zelantis OTK line, which a standard Tenpai deck doesn't really. It obviously can, but it's not like likely to happen. And then I'm like the synchros are pretty standard, and if you're familiar with Tenpai, you know all these ones. And then the striker are just like good at breaking boards, even with the help of Zeke. It's another way of kind of breaking two boards. And that's pretty much overall the main deck and the extra deck. The side deck, just random cards we threw together. The Bestial and the Foolish Return for Branded, because that's obviously a bad matchup in a deck with no hand traps. And then a random copy of Herald Abyss was like, what if there are just more Purelies? Because, Delicious Memory went to 2 after the Benless, right? So yeah, what if there's some Purelies? Maybe we're throwing a copy of the Purely outs as a thrust target, which that's why it's there. Heat Wave, because it's a Heat Wave in Tenpai, and then what a backrow removal, right? So this is just like a raft draft that me and my testing partners in the group had fun with. And I definitely, during those weeks that I was kind of relearning the whole format, considered this deck. And then at the end, what was the problem? If people not familiar with Tenpai, not knowing what Tenpai is, or not even respecting Tenpai, then this can destroy everyone. But the respect of Tenpai-ing people's side, or even extra deck, or even in the main deck, are getting more and more to the point, okay, what if I face a D-barrier? Yes, I have engaged, but that will be the only thing I have, right? And then what if also this kind of list was like very, very vulnerable to draw. It was like all the upstarts and desires engages. So we don't know how many numbers of draws still existing in the format. Also a big downside is like once people know what I'm playing, if I'm playing this thing, and being offered to go first like feels really bad. I mean, I do have plans to go first, but I still obviously feel bad. Like the afterburner is just that card going first, so it's most likely even thrust, right? So at the end, I was like, oh, it's just a fun deck, but I think it's worth sharing because I had fun with it. But that's about it. So let's move on to the next one. Next one is another like weird abomination of random thing. So this is obviously a cool idea that most people probably have drafted in their mind, right? Like, what's the best going first deck right now? Snake Eye. What's the best going second deck right now? Tenpai. So what if we just mix them together? Right? Now you play Snake Eye going first, you play Tenpai going second, and then, like, what if, okay, going second, I can just trade away or my opponent's interruption with my Snake Eyes, and then I go Battle Phase Kaiman for game. You can definitely do things like that, so we build something with that kind of ideas. And we found out there are something cool with it. Because Flamebird, surprisingly, is a fire dragon. So you can do cool things like Kaiman search a Tenpai you need, and then summon Flamebird from hand, because Kaiman says summon any fire dragon monster. And because Flamebird is also a dragon, so going first, you can randomly make a sphere with like a Chandra Flamebird, and just adding another random thing to the Snake Eye ending board. So the Tenpai cards are not necessarily too terrible, even being drawn going first. And obviously the Snake Eye has a building field spell, so technically Ancient Fury is doing a lot more job just switching field spells, because I can even go like, I started with Tenpai's, Tenpai get to, or start summoning get Tenpai get to a fairy, Ancient Fury swap the summoning into Temple, then activate Temple, then use Ancient Fury's like additional special summon, treat it as more like my Snake Eye normal summon, get to an Ash, then start play the regular Snake Eye combo, but because I already have Temple access to Ancient Fury, I get to Poplar, get original, make the board bigger through Oak, and there's just regular things you could imagine. And then because I have this Ancient Fury left on the board, I can go Ancient Fury plus Flamber into a sphere, And then under the sphere, build like whatever standard Snake Eye thing, like Flamber, IP, Princess Integrator. So that was the logic. Also, yeah, there's even more things because Tenpai are so good at making level 7 synchros, and there's the Ancient Fairy. So even in some theories, I can throw in some cash cards and just combo with Diabell using this Ancient Fairy, making into like a rank 7, like a Draco Sack play. So there were a lot of ideas that was tested. But at the end, it just wasn't seem... It seemed fun. It didn't seem to be better. Let's just list some problems, right? Like normal summoning Ash is already a relatively vulnerable move. Let alone I have to go through summoning, which leads to Ghost Ogre, and then summoning get to my Tenpai Dragons, which these are immune, which is fine. But Ancient Fury is not a fire dragon, it's a light dragon. So this thing is attracting to every single hand trap possible in the format. And if this thing gets stopped, I won't be able to get my additional summon of Ancient Fairy to start even my Snake Eye combos. So just suddenly, despite it looks like an extra thing to do, it's actually might just be worse at the end, or not worth the risk or effort. And obviously there's like less engine pieces, because these two engines doesn't really blend together too well. And they do have bricks together. Like I can draw this Fadra with the Snake Eye bricks and just actually be bricking. And then adding a sphere is cool, but sphere isn't like some amazing addition to... It's not worth the effort to do. Like having a sphere at the ending board is nearly the same as having like a Farnier, pretty much. It's a cool thing, it's just not a better thing. So, yeah, this is another idea that we kind of went through, existed for like a few days, and then end with scrap, but had fun with it. So, you heard me going through a lot of ideas, a lot of fun things that could have the potential, but we kind of just knocked them away one by one. I was in that kind of, like, I was in that situation. I was coming up with something new every day, nearly, and then kind of put them down one by one in the following day, one by one. So that whole week or two, I was just building things nonstop. And eventually kind of got to a point where I feel like I tested a lot of random things. There are obviously other decks I didn't show here. There's like the Melodious of Snake Eye, which had some results in YCS Brazil, YCS Rio, and then there's like, well, okay, Ostinato is a great card, right? Even if we don't use it in Snake Eye, there's other decks that can use Ostinato. Like there's the Voiceless with Ostinato. They're just like pure Melodious with Ostinato, right? Which Jesse ended up playing at the YCS. So we definitely tested a lot of things, but everything have their pros and cons, and then I just wasn't feeling satisfied. So I made a decision. You see, the entire Snake Eye format, if you've been watching the channel, been watching all the episodes, I've been playing, I guess, non-conventional things, or just weird things, right? My tournament experience was always with, like, Parallel Exceed that no one did. But, well, in my defense, at the very beginning, when no one knew what the format would be looking like, I played a thing that I thought was cool and good, and thought it would be the standard for the rest of the format. It just turned out didn't happen. So I was kind of stuck with the thing I thought to be cool and trying to prove it. And I let's say my Snake Eye format results weren't the best, but was at least decent. However, now I'm stuck in a loop where I didn't feel Parallel Exceeds were good enough. I had such a bad experiences with doing like the few remote regionals I played with Parallel, to the point I realized, before doing what's called Phantom Nightmare format, there were, surprising to say, less hand traps. So even to the point, okay, I normal summon one, get stopped, I have my extender, maybe get stopped by the second hand trap, then I do something exceeds, drop my parallel exceed, full combo, finish the rest, and win the game that way, right? So average in the format was about like 2 hand traps, honestly. But with the addition of Tenpai, with Legacy of Destruction Legal, with the Sudden Bendless right before Isis Raleigh, I feel like there are more hand traps now. Recently, or at least at the beginning of May. Maybe because there are just more Tenpais existing, which a deck that has more spaces to fit into more hand traps. And Snake Eye kind of just reacted correspondingly and resulted also extra hand traps. So at the very, like the conclusion to few of my regional results, I felt there were just more hand traps. So suddenly Parallel Exceeds were not good enough. Because there were situations where, like, okay, I drop my first summon, first starter, get stopped by the first hand trap, normal, standard thing, right? I now summon my second one, get stopped by a second hand trap, or maybe the second one is just Parallel Exceed. Then Parallel Exceed get hit by the second hand trap. And maybe I use a cross-out for their second hand trap, they suddenly through a third hand trap, suddenly my cross-out feels pointless. I think in the first remote regional, I was even using Small World as a card. I want to test it out, how it feels. Because in theory, Parallel Exceeds link up a lot of different things. I don't think I have the list with me because I got too disappointed with it. But the Parallel Exceeds, the Small World does connect a lot of cards within the deck. Because all the Snake Eyes are level 1. So they can form a bridge with Valor and Joel. They can form a bridge with Valor and Joel. And because there is the wing attribute trio almost in the deck, that there's like the Joel, Mourner, and the Parallel. So these can also just form bridges here and there. And funny enough to say, Parallax is also level 8 that form a bridge with Flambird. Nib and Flambird are both 3k. Those also form a bridge. And then, interestingly enough, Diabel is a spellcaster, which also form a bridge with Valor and Joel. So there are a lot of cool things that you can search off Small World that you couldn't really think of, right? Small World also, if you Small World getting a Poplar, that's pretty much Bonfire into a Poplar. So I was definitely testing how that card feels, and at the end, it didn't matter. Why? Because there are just too many hand traps. Like, when your opponent has like 4 hand traps, okay, they use the first one to starter, second one to get cross out, but resolve the third one on like whatever I could extend, and then have another one as backup. At that point, at that kind of situation, it's just kind of pointless. And then even the pivoting board usually in Snake Eye decks are just making an SP pass, right? That could actually have a chance in Snake Eye Mirrors. But against Tenpai, a single SP is like, they just ignore it. So I made a decision. I kind of convinced myself. What if these kind of weird things isn't working for me? Well, there's the easier way. Let me just copy whatever that is proved that being working right now. So I switched. I decided to copy others. There's nothing wrong to do that. Net decking is a common thing. It's like not. It's actually a thing that I suggest a lot of people to do. Because why not, right? It's like, it's not like, okay, someone topped with a certain thing, now they have a trademark on that thing, you just can't copy it. Because if you do, it's net decking. That just put yourself into an endless loop. Suddenly, you like you will just feel like if you're not the first one who done with it, you just have less options because you're limiting yourself, which is kind of stupid. And then there's no shame of net decking others. As long as, like, okay, that thing being proved to be better, why couldn't you just use it, right? So I See, the longest time I'm not opposing to net decking. I just believe myself could come up with something even better, or arguably at least as good, or at least more fun to me. So I want to kind of grab the attention of playing different things. But when those kind of things just doesn't work anymore, when I stop winning, okay, maybe it's time to find what is winning. So I dropped my conclusion on cash cards. See, Kashtiras are one of the more popular versions since almost middle of March, right? Since the DC Cup for Master Duel, and then slowly transitioned to TCG. And then cash cards are surprisingly good against Tenpai specifically, because Unicorn is like Unicorn repping their extra deck is actually surprisingly hurting them more than even a Furnier Banish. And then the Birth banishing from the graveyard randomly hurts their graveyard, their setup. Because the field spell, usually if they discard a monster, that's two bodies for them, but that just get like checked by Kashtira Birth, which randomly works and randomly very effective. So cash cards were definitely an okay. Also in like a hand trap war kind of situation, cash cards being big, being actually have affecting their turn, is like a very unique trait that not many other cards has in the format. And also the existing cash lineup for combos, for deck ratios, has been proved in various tournaments. The cash line specifically going through Draco Sack was like specifically a cash monster plus Diabell, and then use Draco Sack to link climb into an Appaloosa before even commit into the Snake Eye combo. This line is very like being proved to be good. Remember in the very beginning in like January, where I was actually talking about also like Furnier with Rise Heart into Draco Sack, then into like link bodies and make an IP maybe or whatever kind of thing. Yeah, it's the similar logic. So technically, I have been explored these kind of cards prior to Snake Eyes. Now it's just time to really applying them. So I grabbed I didn't really copy card for card, but this is very similar to Rafael Rish from the winner of YCS Rio in like beginning of May, I believe. And this is at least ratio wise very closer to him, in engine to non engine ratio. And then there are a lot of details that I like modified. Also shout out to like credit to Jose Santiago, which is also my teammate from JNC, who was also grinding regionals with me. We have very overlapping regionals because we are both from Northeast. And then I was filming his deck profile, so I know the detail ratios of whatever he was playing and kind of use those kind of knowledge, improvise it. And then this is what I ended with, the first version of Kashtira Snake Eye that I brought to two more regionals. Finally, I had IRL regionals, so I went to a few of them. First one was Springfield. And as you see here, yeah, I won. It was about like 150-ish people. We had 8 rounds into top 24, and I was doing very well. Better than I expected. Remember, the previous few weekends, the 2 weekends I would play double remote and received absolutely 0 wall points from there. And being able to kind of have this down period and now coming back was a first place finish after 8 rounds at Springfield, getting 24 points was definitely pretty good. And then while I'm doing well, might as well just getting even more, right? On the following day, on Sunday, I even entered another remote regional. And this time, finally, the remote curse is over. I also ended X1. I think I lost to like a very early voiceless in a round, so I ended with second place after another 8 rounds of Swiss in the remote regional. And this the deck profile of these two tournaments, along with the list you see here, I've already posted in the JNC collectible channel, which is my sponsor team. So some of you may already seen this part. But I guess I will still just go over a little bit of the details in this deck, because this was very similar. This is like almost a version 1, version 0 prior to my YCS Indy list. And I definitely had made changes meanwhile. So the main engine ratio are standard, just the Snake Eye lines, maximum Diabel, because I do want to have the rank 7 plays as much as I can, and then minimum number of cash cards, because these are sub engine, but these are not the main engine. These are amplifier to whatever main engine I have, but not really the main engine that can actually full combo myself. So I just run the minimum number of it, which is good enough. And then I think the non-engine portion were the things I was trying to figure out. You see here just a lot of hand trappers, 2-copy Droplet and Talent. So this was still a period where I guess I was still playing hand traps. Their Nib, their Ash, their Veiler, their Ogre, and Empire. It's like what total 13 hand? Yeah, 13 hand trap. Quite a bit in a 42 card deck. And Nib was needed because I feel like I need something going first in a mirror. And then Nib is one of the best hand trap going first in the mirror, because they kind of cannot play around it. So that was that. Asher specifically for Kaiman. Remember, I had a PTSD from remote against Tenpai for 2 weekends in a row. Needed something to stop Kaiman as much as I can, since all other hand traps kind of just bounce on Tenpai and doesn't do anything. And then Veiler, honestly, at the end was, I mean, it always has been a good hand trap, right? One of the best hand trap. But I didn't feel like it was needed against anything specific. It's obviously good to drop it on a normal summon Ash in the Snake Eye Mirror. But without it, there are other ways to stop, like either prevent the combo to prevent Snake Eye combos, or just complete credit afterwards. Which Vader ended as being not as needed. But at that point, when I brought this to the regional, I haven't realized it. That's why Vader's still here. And then Ogre is the hand trap, but also the non-hand trap, because it functions more as a breaker. That's also why Ogre wasn't being played at the beginning of like February or March during Phantom Nightmare format, because it wasn't really a hand trap. It was a ball breaker. It's honestly similar to a Droplet, to a Talents, to even the cards you see in the side. But this one, I played it, since now there's Tenpai, there's more targets to hit. There's also a way of me siding, which I'll go through it when I get to my side. And then there's Imparm. It's Imparm. Then there's Talent, Droplet. These are technically the ball breakers. That's good, even going first game 1, and also functions well going second in game 1. So that's why they're here. So this is like now you see this is just more standard. If you threw this list out there, they probably won't even think this is one of my lists, for how weird my other lists I have been playing during the Snake Eye format. But like I said, it's time to play some standard, right? I kind of been hindering myself, so now I'm not limiting myself. I'm playing whatever being proved to be good. And I guess that I am showing results with it. So the extra that are just standard, so it's pretty much the same thing that you should know already. Whereas I guess the flex spot just being yearly and Hope Harbinger. Yeah, and then side deck is what I got idea from other people. Credit to Lucas Sacco. His idea saying going second in the mirror, just side out all the hand traps. Then keep maybe only Ogre and Imperm, because these also functions as ball breaker. And then these hand traps are not as effective at the moment. Not like how we had in February or March. These hand traps, if they are used by itself, it nearly does nothing since how the combo's being improved. And there's also the risk of people running triple tag, so it kind of just hand loop yourself for using hand trap. Remember, every single hand trap you use, it's a -1 to yourself. Not like we're in OCG where there's max C, there's weird things that actually give you even more cards for using it. In TCG, every single hand trap at the moment, use it, it's -1. So you have to do enough impact that worth the -1, which a lot of hand trap in the current format cannot do it. And what's actually doing the job for the -1, the take your opponent shit kind of card. Whenever you use these, yeah, you -1 with these, but you get their cards, so you didn't lose anything. You did like a favor trade because you stay neutral and they go -1. However, the monster you take usually is more than just a card. It has most likely has a fat or other thing. So that overall, like, these kind of take opponent monster card are feeling a lot better. And so is the addition of Metatronus, which is a new card in Legacy of Destruction. I didn't know how powerful this card was, because the first 2 regionals that I just showed, or the first 2 tournaments I played a card. And let's just say this is... now it's one of my favorite cards in the deck. It's just so strong. It covers so many things. It's like a random chalice plus instant fusion kind of thing, where you just summon out a monster from your deck or extra deck and negate whatever they're on their side. And then meanwhile, this can also be used as like a strong trap going first. Even you just said it, like they normal summon Snake Ash, you use it. You summon your Ash, negate theirs, and banish both. It's like almost a gamma kind of feeling. That doesn't even leave things in the graveyard. Like, the only weakness is, like, this can be ashed, and this is relatively useless or very situational outside the mirror match. But Snake Eye is obviously expected to have a good portion of the format, right? So this card is has been doing well. Lightning Storm, just Lightning Storm. They're every Snake Eye guys have Scourge in their side, so this is always gonna be at least hitting something, which is good. And then you see the Prosperities. Yes, I was citing Prosperities in a tournament. It feels weird, but thinking about it, it makes sense. The logic checks. We have very limited amount of good floodgates after the ban of Summer Limit. So, and some of the other floodgates just also like kind of a bit hit or miss in some situations. So in order to really play Scourge, which is one of the strongest hand trap left, floodgate left, maybe I just add a more copy of things that can potentially turn into Scourge. That's why there's the Prosperity. It also, I really like cards that functions like a Swiss knife, even in the past formats. A card like Prosperity can be your engine when you need engine, can be your non-engine when you draw a lot of engine, can be a starter if you don't have one, can be an extender if you get stopped on your starter. And that just, like, the cost of extra deck is acceptable if you know the game state very, well enough to know which one is guaranteed not going to be used. And the side effect of, cannot be draw, it exists in the deck, but it's not as big of a thing to give up additional draws from the effects going first. And then even going second in conflict with the OTK, that can happen. But I feel like sometimes pot at least even give me a chance to stay in the game. Or if this card isn't pot, I might just not even have a chance. I might just die instantly, right? So failing to OTK. So the trade-off of failing to OTK but at least able to survive, I think it's worth it half of the time. So yes, during the tournament, I was siding in my Prosperity. Here and there, going both first and second, nearly every game in most of the situations. To the point, yes, you at this point know what I played and know my deck list from YCS Indy. I ended up just moving these from the side to the main deck, and had very good success with the pots in my main after these regionals. But during these regionals, these were the first time I even placed Prosperity in Snake Eyes, and then didn't think I would even need it in the main, so I sided them. But at least I played them, and I feel good about it. And then fast forward to now, post YCS Indy. You know what happened on YCS Indy? I top 8 the deck profile, the over hour long video. Previous episode was uploaded like a week ago. If you haven't really watched that, feel free to give that a check. But that's pretty much it. All the stories happened prior to YCS Indy. I definitely went through like a low point of my Snake Eye format, or my Legacy of Destruction format, experienced the changes and the impacts that happened. And now I'm saying I think I kind of recovered from that low point. I kind of proved myself being able to do well in, and the resulted pretty satisfying top 8 finish at YCS Indy. So that's pretty much it. The next few weeks, I think I have some remote regionals and a Philadelphia regionals. Because topping at YCS Indy awarded me a lot of extra wall points, so I'm relatively safe in the wall points leaderboard for top 16. But still, this format is relatively at the end, and there isn't much any new thing coming out. Maybe we'll get a ban list in few days, in few weeks, who knows. But without that, there isn't much more content that I can even post at this point. So we might not see each other that often until later. At this rate, maybe we'll see each other once a week or once 2 weeks. Depends on how well those regional goes, right? So that being said, if you like this video, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it if possible, and then leave a comment down below. Let me know your suggestions, your feedbacks, and I'm glad everything is going well now, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Goodbye.